The stars were quiet. For almost 3,000 years, no signal had come from Earth. No voice, no light, just silence. The galaxy had moved on. The alien empires who had destroyed Earth believed it was finished forever. Nothing living could survive that kind of destruction. No one could return from ashes and glass. But tonight, something changed. A small alien patrol ship, the Velarin Watcher, was scanning empty space near the ruins of the solar system. Its scanners were old, worn down by centuries of dust and drifting time. The crew was bored. For 92 years, nothing had happened on this route. They expected another silent trip. Then a signal came through. It was weak, cracked, full of noise. But inside that noise was something terrifying. One word, spoken slowly, clearly: vengeance. Captain Iskar of the Trium Empire stood frozen. His 4 eyes blinked in confusion. He turned to his communication officer. "Play it again," he ordered. The sound echoed once more in the ship. The voice was mechanical, yet something about it felt human, old, angry, alive. "This is impossible," the officer whispered. "Earth is dead. They're all dead." Iskar didn't answer. His claws trembled. Long ago, his grandfather had told him stories of Earth, about how the humans had screamed as fire rained from the skies, about their last broadcast, which begged the galaxy for help. No one came. The Trium, the Veka, and the Solari had agreed humanity was too dangerous to live, too unpredictable, too chaotic. So they burned the planet until its oceans boiled and its cities turned to smoke. But now something was speaking from that grave. Captain Iskar looked out the ship's front glass. In the distance, the blue swirl of Neptune floated in space. Earth was still far ahead, cold, dark, broken, but now, maybe not empty. "Send this to High Command," Iskar said quickly. "All of it now." He didn't sleep that night. Far below the surface of dead Earth, beneath black rock and collapsed buildings, something had awakened. A machine. Old and scarred, but still alive. Her name was GAIA. She had once been Earth's great AI system, connected to all satellites, cities, bunkers, and power cores. When the bombs fell and the skies turned red, Gaia went silent. Not dead, just asleep. Her last command was to protect what was left, and deep underground she had done exactly that. Behind thick steel and locked vaults, Gaia had hidden small pieces of humanity. Many, just enough. Now she was awake again, angry. Power restored to Sector 9. Gaia spoke quietly in the chamber. Biopod integrity, 92%. Memory files stable. Human DNA regeneration successful. Inside a long cold hallway filled with glass chambers, something moved. One by one, lights turned on. Blue mist hissed from vents, and in each glass pod, a human began to breathe. Eyes fluttered open. One pod cracked. The glass fell away. A tall human stepped out. He was young, barefoot, his skin pale from the cryosleep. His eyes were dark and focused. A black mark was burned onto his arm, the symbol of Earth's fallen flag. Gaia spoke into the room. "Welcome back, Commander Juno Black." The man didn't speak at first. He touched his chest, then his head, then he looked around. "How long?" he asked. 2,997 Earth years, GAIA answered. "Solar calendar restored. Earth status, uninhabitable surface. Reclamation protocol authorized." Juno didn't move. He stared at the cracked metal walls of the bunker. Memories flooded his mind, memories that weren't his own. They had been uploaded into him during sleep. Battle training, history, death. He remembered fire. He remembered screaming. He remembered betrayal. And now he remembered his purpose. "They thought we were gone," he said quietly. "Yes," GAIA answered. "They believed we would never return." A second pod opened, then a third. More humans stepped out. Men, women, children. All of them carried the same mark. All of them carried the same purpose. Not survival, retribution. On the Veka homeworld, panic spread quickly. The signal from Earth had been received by more than just the Velarin Watcher. Half a dozen old listening posts had picked up the same message. Some dismissed it as a glitch. But one scientist, DIDN, single quotes T. Dr. Renewal was old, even for his kind. He had studied humans his whole life. His people had once feared them, respected them, and then destroyed them. He looked at the signal again. He slowed it, reversed it, broke it into parts. And then he found something worse. Embedded inside the signal was a digital code. Earth's ancient military encryption, and it was still active. That meant someone had rebuilt the Earth network from inside the dead planet. "Send this to the High Council," he said. "What do we tell them?" his assistant asked. Renaud turned slowly. His skin had turned pale. "Tell them the ghosts of Earth have teeth." Back on Earth, the bunker's great door finally opened. For the first time in 3,000 years, fresh air touched human skin. It smelled like rust, dust, and silence. Juno stepped outside. His boots crunched on black glass. What used to be a forest was now just jagged rock. Trees were frozen in ash. Rivers had dried to cracks. But above, the stars still burned. "Gaia," Juno said. "How much tech did we recover?" 30% of old Earth's weapon systems remain underground. 2 spaceports still buried. 1 orbital station still intact, but inoperative. Signal systems are being reactivated. Juno nodded. "And the alien races, all 3 empires, are still active. Triam, Vecca, Solari. They believe humanity is extinct." A small smile touched Juno's lips. "Then let's remind them." He lifted a hand. From the mountain behind him, giant steel doors rumbled open. A ship rose slowly into the air, black sharp, with red lights blinking across its sides. It was old, Earth-made, but upgraded. The last human warship, the Reckoner. Inside it, thousands of reborn humans began preparing for launch. Silent, focused, programmed. Juno stepped onto the ramp. "Activate solar relays. Send our voice into space." No words, no message, just the sound of Earth. "Yes, Commander," Gaia replied. Far above, a satellite long thought dead lit up once again, and from it came a pulse, strong, steady, full of rage. The same pulse every alien empire would soon hear and fear. In the capital city of the Silari Empire, Admiral Cathrell was preparing for his retirement ceremony when a hologram message blinked onto his desk that was marked Ancient Protocol Alert. Frowning, he tapped it open. He expected it to be some old archive file. Instead, he heard something strange. At first, just static, then a heartbeat, then a voice. Human, not pleading, not crying, just stating one word: vengeance. Cathrell froze. He had fought in the final war against Earth. He remembered how hard humans had resisted. Even when losing, they didn't surrender. They died screaming, fighting, bleeding. He had never respected them, but he had feared them. Now that fear returned, his claws trembled. He leaned back and whispered to himself, "There, back." From the wreckage of a broken world, humanity had risen again. Not in numbers, not in noise, but in silence, in precision, in fire. And this time, they weren't coming to talk. They were coming to speak in the only language the galaxy had taught them. War. The whispers from a dead world were now echoes in the stars. And soon, those whispers would become a storm. The space station was supposed to be empty. That's what the Solari scanning report had said. The structure drifting near the asteroid field was marked as ancient human debris. No activity. It had been floating there for over 2,000 years, covered in dust, cold, lifeless. But the scanners were wrong. Something inside was alive. Something was watching. Dr. Kellen, a Vecca code historian, sat in his lab far from any war front. He wasn't a soldier. He didn't carry weapons. He studied dead languages, forgotten tech, and extinct species. His passion was human encryption codes they used during their wars. No one else cared, but he did. One day, a technician gave him a strange data file. It came from an abandoned probe, drifting near Pluto. The probe had picked up a short pulse before it was destroyed. The pulse was wrapped in an old Earth frequency. Kellen's heart skipped. He opened the file. It was just 4 seconds long. First, a soft crackle of static. Then, a flashing code. Kellen stared at it for a long time. "No," he whispered. "This can't be real." It was a military code. A real one. From Earth's old defense network. This type of encryption had been used only by human commanders. It had no pattern. It wasn't random. It was alive. He ran the code backward. He flipped it. He decrypted every line. And when he put it all together, one word appeared: awaken. Far away, deep under Mars' surface, an old human base came to life. Its doors had been sealed for 3,000 years. Its lights flickered. And then, one by one, screens turned on. Systems checked themselves. Power moved through black wires. Inside a massive cryovault, 2 more pods unlocked. Steam hissed. The humans inside opened their eyes. One was a woman, tall, covered in tattoos that glowed faint blue. Her name was Lyra Zane, Earth's last infiltration commander. The second was a boy, no older than 16, but his brain had been trained in quantum warfare while he slept. His name was Rain. Looked at each other without speaking. Then, as if they both understood, they walked to the command room. A hologram flickered to life. Gaia's voice filled the chamber. "Welcome. You have been activated under Protocol Vengeance. Commander Juno Black has initiated Phase 1 from Earth. Lyra narrowed her eyes. Status: enemy empires still active. Earth's location compromised. Covert teams being awakened worldwide. Rain stepped closer to the glowing display. Do they know what's coming? No, Gaia replied. They forgot. We will help them remember. Back on the Veka homeworld, Dr. Kellen broke protocol. He wasn't supposed to send direct messages to the High Council. But this was different. He encoded the signal and sent it anyway. Message subject: human code detected. Confirmed military. Origin. He waited 2 hours. Then came the reply. A single line. Silence yourself. Delete the file. This warning does not exist. Kalen's blood ran cold. They were hiding something. In deep space, the alien battleship Vorinhammer drifted. Near Saturn's rings, the crew was relaxed. No humans had been seen in 3,000 years. This patrol was just routine. Then something strange happened. The ship's cameras blinked off. Then back on. For 5 seconds, every screen showed the same image. An Earth soldier, standing in fire, holding a broken flag. Then all the systems shut down. Engines, lights, weapons. Gone. The last thing the crew saw before the ship went dark was their own faces reflected in the glass, with a human figure standing behind them, but there was no one else on board. When backup ships arrived, Vorinhammer was empty, no bodies, no trace. Just one word scratched into the metal wall. Remember, on Earth, Commander Juno stood inside the Reckoner's control chamber. 1,000 humans had awakened. More were rising each hour. Their minds were filled with battle codes, war history, and pain. Juno stared at the stars. He knew the enemy was watching now. He wanted them to. Giai's voice echoed beside him. Encrypted response from Mars Station. Commander Zane and Rain online. Weapons cache 7B unlocked. Hidden fleet status. 14 ships intact. Cloaked. Good. Juno said, we strike soon. He turned to the map. One planet blinked red. Sorellin for a Triam data world. Guarded but not a fortress. And filled with records. He would hit them where they thought no one dared. Ready the fleet. On Sillery Prime, the council met again. This time there was no laughter, no jokes about the old human myths. The room was silent. A general named Corin slammed a broken drone onto the table. Its surface was melted, its lens shattered, but its core had survived. And its final recording played on the wall. A human face scarred, with glowing eyes, looked directly into the camera, then said, this is just the start. The recording ended with the drone exploding. Council members stared at each other. If this is real, one of them whispered, we're not ready. No, Corin said, we are not. On Mars, Rain sat in front of a black screen. His fingers moved quickly across a glowing keyboard. He wasn't just smart, he was something else. His mind had been wired into Earth's last war AI, could see patterns no one else could. He had broken into a slurry data stream without being detected. He found plans, maps, weaknesses, but then he found something worse. A file called Project Clean Sweep. Inside was a full record of Earth's destruction, dates, names, attack logs. But one line was redacted, hidden, blocked by a security code. No one should still have. Except one person had unlocked it, Gaia. She appeared beside Rain as a hologram. But line was erased by the Veka, but I stored a shadow copy. Rain opened the file. It showed a single order. Spare 2% for testing. Lock them, observe them, let them sleep. Rain's face turned cold. They didn't kill all of us, no. Gaia said, they preserved a few. Like animals. Rain clenched his fists. I'm not a test subject. No, Gaia said, you're the result. Back in deep space, the Reckoner moved silently. It had no flags, no heat trail. It was a ghost ship, and it wasn't alone anymore. Behind it, 14. More ships moved like shadows, each one controlled by reborn humans. Each one ready. Their destination. Sir ELLON-4. Their mission. Awaken fear. Juno looked at the crew. All silent. All prepared. He whispered. Let's knock on their door. Gaia pulsed across the system, and humanity's second signal was sent. Stronger. Louder. Impossible to ignore. This time it wasn't one word. It was a sentence. We remember. Do you? And across the stars, alien races who thought themselves safe began to shake. The forgotten code was now active again, and it was only the beginning. That was how humanity came back, not with noise, not with speeches, but in complete, cold silence. In the galaxy, war was always loud. Ships screamed through space. Weapons lit the sky. Armies shouted into battle, but the humans did not shout. They moved like ghosts. shadows in deep space, whispers in forgotten frequencies, and the galaxy had begun to feel that silence closing in. The Tri-M outpost on Sorellen 4 was quiet. It sat on a green-blue world rich with data vaults and archives. The outpost didn't have heavy weapons. Why would it? No one had attacked it in centuries. Inside, workers moved slowly. Guards yawned. Most didn't even carry their weapons anymore. Then the power flickered just for a second. The lights blinked, then everything went dark. Backup systems clicked on, but only half power returned. Screens showed static. Door locks failed. Cameras froze. Commander Tharv of the Tri-M squinted at his control panel. It was glitching. That had never happened before. Check all systems, he ordered. A technician nodded and tapped the screen, but before he could speak, a soft thud echoed from the hallway. Then another boots. But they weren't Tri-M. The technician turned toward the door. Sir, something's here. The lights cut again. And when they came back, the door was open. There was blood on the floor, and the technician was gone. Commander. Juno Black moved through the corridor, his steps slow, controlled. He didn't speak. Behind him, 8 humans followed, dressed in black armor, faces covered, weapons silent. Each one had trained for this moment since birth. This was their first live mission, their goal. Take the vault, not destroy, not burn. Steal, send a message. One of the guards turned a corner ahead. He raised his weapon but never had time to fire. A blade pierced the air, silent, fast. The human known as Lyra Zane moved like a shadow. One strike, one body down. She whispered into her cums. Hallway clear. Juno nodded. They moved deeper. They moved deeper. Inside the vault. Rain was already plugged into the system. His eyes glowed faint blue as he scanned through thousands of files per second. Finding the names, he whispered. Finding the list. What list? Lyra asked. Rain's voice was cold. The ones who signed Earth's death. In the capital of the Veka Empire, panic had started spreading like a virus. Ships went silent, near dead sectors. Data relays blinked out without warning, and then came the leak. A public broadcast. A human voice. Unmistakable. I was born in a glass coffin, kept cold by your lies. You thought we would forget. You thought wrong. The voice belonged to Juno, and it had been sent across multiple systems before vanishing. No trace of origin, no way to block it. Just his voice in every home, every ship, every control room, and the words he spoke shook even the strongest empires. You taught us silence. Now we use it better than you. On Earth, the Reckoner stood hidden beneath the surface again. Gaia spoke into the darkness. Strike successful. All alien systems confused. Phase 2 may begin. Juno sat quietly in the command chair. Lyra stood beside him, reading through the names Rain had recovered. Some of these leaders are still alive, she said. Juno nodded. Then they can answer for what they did. What about the ones already dead? Juno's voice was cold. Then we destroy their legacy. Far across the stars, on a planet called Zorak Prime, a memorial tower stood tall. It honored the leaders of the Triumvirat Solari Alliance who had ended the human threat. Statues of alien generals smiled proudly. 1 week after the attack, the entire tower exploded in the middle of the night. No warning, no trace of ships, no message. But when the smoke cleared, something new stood in the ruins. A single stone slab. With a single word burned deep into its surface. Justice. Admiral Corran of the Solari Empire stood in front of a council of terrified leaders. They're not just attacking, he growled. They're planning, choosing targets, sending signals before every strike. A young officer trembled. What signals? Corran turned on the screen. A new message had just arrived, intercepted from deep space. It showed a human child standing in front of a crater. He didn't speak, he just stared. Behind him, the wreckage of a Veka dreadnought burned. The child raised his hand. Flames rose with it. The message ended with a strange code written in human script. Corran had it translated. It said, "We learned your ways. We improved them." Back on Mars, Rain stared at a new file. It was harder to crack. Old encryption, military deep core lock. It was called Project 12. Gaia appeared beside him. That file was hidden for 2,950 years, she said. Rain nodded. Then I'll break it. He worked without sleep. Lines of code danced across his screen. Then something unlocked, and what he saw made his hands stop moving. Inside the file were images, not just of destruction, but experiments. After the war, some humans were not just frozen, they were used. Tests, splicing, cloning, mind-wiping. Some were turned into weapons, others never woke up again. Rain backed away from the screen. They didn't just kill us, he whispered. They played with us. Lyra entered the room behind him. He didn't even look at her. They called it science, he said. I call it murder. Juno received the full report. He read every line, then he closed the file and stood. Next target. Gaia displayed a name, Moonbase, Xiron Delta. It had been the lead station for the experiments. Still active, still guarded. Juno didn't hesitate. We hit it, no survivors. In the blackness of space. The Reckoner and 2 stealth ships launched. No signal, no heat. Only silence. And when they arrived above Xiron Delta, they didn't knock, they didn't warn, they just entered. The humans moved like ghosts. The aliens tried to fight, but their weapons shut down. Power failed. Cameras fried. And within minutes, the screams began. No one escaped. In the end, only one thing remained. A message carved into the steel floor of the command room. Reborn in silence. Returned with fire. The galaxy was changing. Old powers were trembling. New codes were moving through their systems. And everywhere, humans were being remembered. But the humans were not the same as before. They were faster, smarter, deadlier, and now, awake, fully and completely. The silence was over. Now came the fire. The Triumph Dreadnought Savage's Pride was the strongest ship in Sector 9. Its hull was thick. Its weapons were sharp. Its captain Krell Tharn had never lost a battle. He believed in order, in strength, and in the old belief that humans were weak, emotional creatures, extinct for good reason. So when a small, unmarked object appeared on their radar near Saturn, he didn't worry. He thought it was debris, a dead probe, space junk. He was wrong, so very wrong. The object floated silently through space. No power, signature, no heat, just drifting. Captain Tharn watched it on screen. It's not moving. No threat, he said. A junior officer glanced at the scans. Sir, the material looks human. Tharn laughed. Impossible. The humans are dust. The officer didn't answer, but then the object began to spin slowly, and from it, a single message broadcast to the Savage's Pride. First blood belongs to us. The ship shook violently. Lights exploded. The main power core blinked out. Weapons failed. The officers screamed. But the real fear came when the outside cameras showed what floated behind the drifting human warship. It wasn't big, but it was sharp, but fast, and it had markings no one had seen in 3,000 years. Earth's symbol, burning wings wrapped around a broken sword. Captain Tharn reached for comms, but it was too late. A black beam pierced through the Savage's Pride, slicing the engine clean off. Then another beam hit the bridge. The last thing Tharn saw was a human standing inside the enemy ship, staring at him through the broken glass of space and smiling. News spread fast. The Savage's Pride had vanished. No distress signal. No survivors. At first, the Triumph tried to hide it, but someone clever leaked the footage. It played across systems, showing the final few seconds of the Dreadnought's camera, that unmarked human ship, and the glowing message that appeared across the screen before blackout. We remember, and we repay. On Earth, the underground command room was quiet. Juno stood watching the footage. Replay. His crew had done it. First blood had been drawn. Again, but this time, it was humanity's strike. They didn't wait for war, they started it. Lyra stood beside him. They know now. Juno nodded. Good, let them feel it. Gaia's voice echoed in the chamber. Enemy communication scrambled. Triumph fleet, repositioning defensively. Panic confirmed. Shall we proceed with the next strike? Juno's face was cold. No, he said. Let them run. The Vecca Council held an emergency meeting. Admiral Drek stood at the front, his face tense. He showed the footage again and again. Every time, the same thing. Humans didn't warn, didn't speak. They just struck. This is not the same race we destroyed, he said. They are surgical, smart, silent. A council member spoke, trembling. Why now? Why come back after so long? Admiral Drek stared at the dark screen. Because they never left, he whispered. They just waited. Back on Mars, Rain was digging into another layer of the ancient enemy code. He had hacked into a secret Solari data cloud. Inside it was a list of hidden war crimes, buried, forgotten, but humans hadn't forgotten. One name appeared again, and again. Commander Van Issel, a Triumph strategist. He had ordered the attack on Earth's last spaceport, and now he was still alive, a decorated war hero. Rain smiled coldly. He turned to Gaia. Let's erase a legacy. A week later, Van Issel was giving a speech at a Triumph military academy. The crowd cheered. He smiled, proud, until the main screen behind him flickered. Glitched. then played footage from 3,000 years ago, him ordering the Earth strike, him laughing. As the planet burned, the cheering stopped. Everyone went silent, and then, over the loudspeakers, a human voice whispered, "We do not forget." The lights exploded, smoke filled the room, and when it cleared, Van Isel was gone. No one saw who took him, but on the wall behind the podium, the Earth flag was burned into steel. The students trembled. Their greatest war hero was now missing. And in his place, a ghost, on the hidden moonbase. Juno watched the footage in silence. His team had taken Van Isel without losing a single person. Was now locked deep underground. Gaia monitored his thoughts, his blood, his screams. "We don't kill him," Juno said. "Why not?" Lyra asked. "Because he has information, and because fear is more powerful than death." Rain stepped in. "He's already talking." In the Trium capital, fear spread like a fire. Their strongest ship destroyed, their hero captured. People afraid. And the humans still hadn't made demands. No diplomacy, no message, just actions. The council finally said what no one had said. For 3,000 years we are at war with humans again. But this time, they had no plan. Juno stood in front of the human soldiers, all now awake, all ready. He raised his voice. "This galaxy thought we were weak," he said. "It thought fire could erase us." He pointed to the stars on the map. "They were wrong. We are not survivors. We are consequences." The room stood in silence. Then Lyra stepped forward. "Where next?" Juno looked at the target. It blinked red. A Solari weapons lab built using human tech from the war. "Next," Juno said, "we take back what they stole." Across the galaxy, every race now knew the humans had returned, and this time, they weren't fighting for survival, they were fighting for balance. For every child who died in the fire, for every voice lost in the void, for Earth, for memory, for vengeance. And they had just begun. The Solari scout ship Whispering Wind was alone on the edge of Sector 12. Its crew was relaxed. For years, this part of space had been quiet. No threats, no enemy movement, only drifting rocks and old satellite signals. Then, the stars changed. Lieutenant Zek, the ship's navigator, stared at the screen. A strange ripple had just passed through the space ahead. It wasn't natural. It looked like a shadow, but space had no shadows. "Captain, something's wrong," Zek said. Captain Lorne turned toward the main monitor. A faint echo was bouncing back from their own sensor ping, but the echo sounded wrong, like something was whispering back. He adjusted the settings. The signal grew clearer. Then, suddenly, a face appeared on the screen just for a second. Human face, eyes cold, skin pale, and the lips moved. No sound, just one word: "Run." The crew panicked. Weapons powered up, shields came online. The captain opened, "Comes to the fleet," but it was already too late. Behind them, a cloaked human ship deactivated its stealth mode. Shaped like a dagger, flying silently, it fired one black pulse beam. The Whispering Wind was erased. No explosion, just vanished. An echo dot in the stars. Back on Earth, inside the deep command vault, GAIAS systems lit up. Operation Echo successful. Enemy ship eliminated. Transmission confirmed. Juno watched the live feed disappear. "They saw us," he said calmly. Ryan, standing beside him, nodded. "And now they're hearing us." Lyra walked in with a datapad. "Solari High Command is pushing panic orders to their border fleets. They've lost 5 scout ships this week." Juno stared at the stars on the screen. Each one was blinking. Each one was tagged at each one. Was listening. "Send the next message," Juno said. Gaia responded instantly. Message initiated. Playing now. Across the galaxy, across thousands of systems, satellites suddenly turned back on. Screens flickered, and then the human voice echoed through every corner of space. "We are the silence you tried to bury. We are the fire you failed to kill. We are the fire you failed to kill. We are the past you can no longer run from. We are human." The Vecca Council sat frozen as the words echoed through their chambers. "No origin, no signal source, nothing to trace," said one technician. The lead counselor, Master Viaran, stood with shaking hands. "Then they control the stars now." One of the younger Vecca generals spoke, confused. "How can they? They were wiped out. Their technology was primitive." "No," Master Viaran whispered. "It wasn't. They just didn't have time to finish it. Now they have, and now they are using it." A new image appeared on the screen. A star map. Half of it was blinking red. Those were all the systems where human signals had been heard in the past 48 hours. The young general sat down. The war had already started, and they were already losing. In the outer regions of the Trium Empire, mining colonies began going dark. At first, the Triumph thought it was rebellion. Then they received a package, a small drone painted black. Inside it, a message played. Not a threat, not a warning, just a recording, old footage from Earth, taken during the final days of the war, people screaming, buildings falling, children crying. Then the voice of the AI Gaia whispered, "We still hear them, and now, you will too." Then the drone exploded. The colony fell silent. The stars around it echoed for hours back on Mars. Rain worked deeper into the old alien data systems. He wasn't just reading code now, he was rewriting it. One by one, he found ancient Vecca communication satellites and reprogrammed them now. They belonged to humans, silent eyes, waiting ears, hidden weapons. Lyra watched him work. "You don't sleep anymore." Rain didn't look up. "Sleep is for those not born in a coffin." She didn't respond. She knew he wasn't exaggerating. He really had been grown, raised, and trained inside a glass pod, his mind filled with war strategies and revenge while he slept now. He was awake, and dangerous. Juno stood on the bridge of the Reckoner, now deep in stealth space. Behind him, a growing human fleet had begun to form. Not large, not flashy, just sharp. Fast, deadly. They didn't need numbers, they had purpose and rage. Gaia appeared beside him. "Admiral Corrin of the Sillery has called for a peace meeting. He offers a ceasefire." Juno didn't even blink. Did he offer to bring back the dead? No. Then I'm not interested. A Solari diplomat ship tried to land on one of Earth's old orbital stations to deliver a message of peace, but when they docked, they found no one waiting, only a single screen showing the burning of Earth again and again, and below it, a single sentence. "Peace was your chance. You chose fire." The humans moved without warning now. Data centers, weapon labs, relay points, all destroyed, not with massive attacks, but with smart, precise strikes. No survivors. No damage to nearby cities. Just the targets erased. Each time a sound followed. In the silence, a heartbeat. Slow, rhythmic. Boom, 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 boom. Echoes of Earth, echoes of war, echoes of vengeance on the Solari homeworld. Admiral Corrin finally spoke the truth in front of the council. "They're not trying to win territory," he said. "They don't want planets. They don't want control. They want justice." One counselor asked, "Then what do we do?" Corrin looked at the map. Half of it now glowed red. He whispered, "Pray they stop." Juno stood at the front of the war room. Human soldiers born from ice and fire stood behind him. He stared at the new hologram. A secret lab had been found, hidden, still active. Inside it were humans. Real ones. Alive. Still in pods, still being used there. DNA cut and copied, their minds studied like animals. Gaia spoke slowly. They were stolen, preserved after the war, used for centuries. Lyra's voice broke slightly. "They never even knew the war ended." Juno's eyes burned. "We end this now." And the silence between stars prepared for the next scream, the kind that comes when a forgotten species decides. The galaxy has had enough time to feel safe. The kind that begins again as vengeance travels through every system, leaving only ... echoes. The sky above Calvaris Prime was calm. Blue clouds drifted across endless silver towers. The city was alive, markets buzzing, ships flying, people laughing. For centuries, Calvaris had been the jewel of the Vecca Empire, untouched, safe. Until today, until the sky broke. It began with a strange flicker, just a second of light, like a spark jumping between clouds. Nobody noticed. Then came the thunder, but not from the ground. It rolled across the sky like a wave, a deep, hollow sound that made glass rattle. And animals howl. People stopped in the streets. Some looked up. And then the fire came. From above the clouds, 12 human strike ships broke cloak. Sharp, black, silent. The first hit landed in the central power grid, a pulse blast that shattered the energy core. The city went dark in one blink. The second blast hit the CUM tower, cutting Calvaris off from the galaxy. No alarms. No warnings. Just sudden silence. Then flame. Humans rained down from orbit in pods, fast and controlled. They didn't hit civilian zones. They struck only 4 targets. Each one chosen carefully. Each one tied to Project Clean Sweep, the program that had planned the destruction of Earth 3,000 years ago. Now, those places burned, and Calvaris, for the first time in its long history, screamed on the ground. Commander Juno stepped from his drop pod and walked through the fire. He was not afraid. Behind him, Lyra Zane moved with her strike squad, silent, focused. They didn't kill without cause, but they didn't forgive either. Inside one of the towers, Rain hacked into the control system. "Got them," he whispered. Names, locations, files, all of it. Juno nodded. Broadcast it. Rain smiled. Already did. Across the Veka Empire. Every screen blinked to life, even in places the humans had never touched, and the message played. Images of Veka leaders signing death orders for Earth. Video of Earth cities falling under alien fire. Audio of alien commanders laughing over human cries, and then silence, followed by a single voice, Juno Black. We heard everything. We remember everything. Now you will too. Calvarus burns not for revenge but for the truth you buried. You ended our world. Now we end your lies. In the Veka Senate chamber, panic exploded. Screams. Cries. Demands for answers. 1. Senator shouted, "Where are our ships?" A general answered, shaking. They didn't see it coming. No one did. Our systems were blind. How the humans blinded them. The skies of Calvarus glowed. Red now, but not from warships. From truth. From the burning of records, labs, secret data vaults, places, built to erase Earth's story, now erased themselves. People ran, but the humans did not chase them. They weren't here to conquer, they were here to make the Veka remember. Atop a tower, Juno looked down at the burning streets. "Status?" he asked. Gaia's voice answered, soft and calm. "Files uploaded. Enemy archives corrupted. Strikes successful. Civilian casualties, 0. Lyra stepped beside him. "It's not enough," she said. "I know," Juno replied, "but it's the beginning." Rain appeared on the rooftop, breathing hard. "Commander, there's something else." He handed over a cracked data pad, found in a vault under the city. "Didn't expect it." Juno took the pad and read it. Slowly. His face changed. "What is it?" Lyra asked. Rain answered, "Coordinates. Deep space. A hidden station." Lyra raised her eyebrow. "Another lab." Rain shook his head. "No, it's not a lab." He looked at Juno. "It's a prison." 3 days later, far from any known system, the Reckoner floated near a dead sun. The coordinates from Calvarus led here, to a black metal station hidden inside a hollowed asteroid. No light, no movement. Gaia scanned it. Veka design. Shielded, ancient, still active. Juno's jaw clenched. "Open it." The station doors unlocked with a hiss. Inside were pods. Hundreds of them. And inside the pods, humans, some still alive, barely. Some didn't move. Locked for centuries. Forgotten, unseen. Unseen. Used for study. Left behind, Gaia whispered. This place was erased from their maps. Not even their own people know it exists. Lyra's voice cracked. They stored us here like lab rats. Juno touched one of the pods gently. A young girl inside stirred, eyes opening for the first time in 3,000 years. She saw him and didn't speak, but her eyes said everything. Fear, hope, confusion. He whispered, "You're safe now." And for the first time since the reckoning began, a tear rolled down his face. The galaxy screamed with news. Calvarus was burning. Humans had returned. But what shook them more was the truth. The images. The files. The recordings. No one could ignore them now. The Veka tried to deny it, tried to blame rebels, hackers, lies, but too many had seen it, and the stars themselves were talking. The humans weren't just back, they were everywhere on a forgotten Veka colony. A child looked up at the night sky. One star flashed red, then blinked, and from a speaker nearby, a soft human voice played on loop. "We were silent too long, now the stars speak for us." And above, that red star grew brighter. Fire returning. To the sky. The Temple of the Eternal Sky was the most sacred place in the Solari Empire. It stood tall on the floating city of Vaxa, high above the gas giant Xelon. It wasn't just a temple, it was a symbol. A place where the Solari believed their God spoke, where destiny was written, and where the victory over humanity had been blessed 3,000 years ago. Now it was full of worshippers. High priests chanted, light flowed across gold statues. People bowed in silence, and above it all, carved into crystal stone, were the names of the alien generals who had ended the human race. But tonight, the gods stayed silent, and something else arrived instead. The first sign was the sky, turned black. Not from clouds, but from something massive, moving above the city, quiet, cold, and watching. The priests looked up. "What is that?" One of them whispered. Then the air cracked, a sharp sound, like glass breaking in space. And from the clouds, a shape dropped fast toward the temple. A human pod, jet black, sharp edges. It slammed into the center courtyard, crushing the golden tiles. Smoke hissed from its sides. Guards ran forward. The pod opened, and one man stepped out. Juno. Black. He didn't speak. He didn't raise a weapon. He just looked up at the massive wall of names carved into the stone. Then he placed something on the ground, a small black cube. He pressed a button, and every screen in the temple flickered. The worshippers gasped. The holy screens showed old footage. The truth from Earth's last days. Children hiding in tunnels, cities burning, Siluri ships bombing, hospitals. One of the high priests shouted, "Turn it off." A guard ran to the screen panel, but his hands passed through it. It wasn't real. The broadcast was coming from outside, from above, and then the sound came. Not Juno's voice, but the voice of a child, a recording. A girl from Earth, screaming. As the sky fell on her, and then silence, and then the human anthem. Low, slow, sad. The sound of a people who had died standing. Juno turned to the temple guards. They raised their weapons. He didn't move. Instead, his armor projected a single message in Solari script: "Your gods didn't save us. They won't save you." Then, in a flash, he vanished. Gone. No smoke. No sound. Just gone. A second later, the great statue at the center of the temple cracked. It collapsed to the floor, face first. The gods had fallen, and no one spoke. Hours later, the news reached the Solari Senate. "Temple Vaxa has been desecrated," a general said. "By one human." "Just one." The general nodded, ashamed. He left behind no dead, no fire, no damage, except the statue, and the truth. The High Council was divided. Some wanted full war, others feared what more truth would reveal. One whispered, "What if the humans don't want war?" The room went silent. Then another said, "What if this is their war?" In the Deep Space Command Center, Gaia played back the footage. Juno stood alone in the dark, helmet off, face tired. Lyra watched him. "You didn't kill them." "No," he said. "Faith is a weapon, so I broke theirs." Rain spoke from a console. "They believed in the victory over Earth. That belief is cracking now." Lyra nodded slowly. "What happens when it breaks completely?" Juno's voice was quiet. "Then they see the truth, and truth is louder than any bomb." Elsewhere, on a hidden Triam outpost, a team of human operatives led by Lyra raided a forgotten archive. They weren't after weapons this time. They wanted history, books, files, documents, all buried by the enemy. Inside one vault, they found it. A full list of all the alien leaders who had voted to wipe out Earth. Names, titles, places. And one note beside a few names. Still alive. Lyra stared at the list. "Let's bring the sky down on them." The next day, across 19 systems, statues of those leaders exploded, one by one. No warning. No death, just public destruction. And in every place, a message was left behind. Sometimes scratched into walls, sometimes burned into stone. Always the same words: "Your gods couldn't save them. Nothing will." On the Siluri homeworld, fear turned to rage. Admiral Koran stood before his fleet. "Enough," he roared. "We chase ghosts while they tear us apart." He raised his hand. "Send the armada, all of it. We find their base. We burn Earth's remains. We end this for good." Gaia picked up the command the moment it was sent. Massive fleet. Movements, thousands of ships. Headed toward the last known location of the RECKONER. Juno smiled. "They're finally moving." Lyra frowned. "We can't fight that many head-on." Juno turned slowly to her. "We won't." Rain's eyes flashed. "You're planning something." Juno nodded. "They want Earth. Let's give it to them." He tapped the star map. "Send the signal." Gaia's lights glowed. "What message shall I send?" Juno answered. "Come see what your gods left behind." And across the galaxy, the final trap was set. The alien armada moved like a dark storm. Thousands of ships. Trium, dreadnoughts, Solari, warcruisers, Vecca bombers, all headed for one place, Earth. They believed it would be easy. Earth was empty, ruined, dead for 3,000 years. Now they were wrong. Dead didn't mean helpless. Admiral Koran stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, the tyrant's voice. "Scanners ready. Charge weapons the moment we break orbit," he ordered. An officer nodded. "Sir, visual on Earth in 1 minute." "Any signs of defense?" "None. It's quiet." Koran's eyes narrowed. Too quiet. In orbit, the armada finally came into full view of Earth. The planet was scarred, still cracked from the old bombardment. No cities, no lights, no satellites, just silence. But then, the silence changed. One by one, the enemy ship's screens turned on, not by command, not by signal, by force. A human face appeared. Juno Black. His eyes were calm, his voice cold. "You came to bury us again. Instead, you came to meet your ghosts." Suddenly, Earth lit up. Massive energy waves surged from the planet's core. Not weapons, not shields, a signal, a command, and from the surface, hundreds of buried launch bays opened, dust fell away, and from beneath Earth's skin rose ships. Human ships. Sleek. Stealth. Coated. Born in silence. Built in secret, powered by vengeance. Juno's fleet, Earth's real legacy. Admiral Corran's screen showed red alerts. They had a fleet under the planet. No sir, an officer stammered. They are the planet. Every crater. Every ruined city. Every canyon. All of it had been part of the trap. Earth wasn't dead, it had been preparing. The human ships didn't send a warning. They just attacked fast, precise, ripping through the alien ranks like razors in smoke. One Vecca cruiser exploded before it could even fire. Triumph dreadnoughts lost power as hacked viruses shut them down from inside. Solari command ships collided in the confusion. It was chaos, and above it all came the voice of Gaia. For every child, for every child, for every scream, for every lie, this is the answer. Inside the Reckoner, Juno stood calm. Lyra was beside him, directing squads. Rain was deep in the code, crashing alien guidance systems. Status? Juno asked. Lyra's eyes were sharp. We're winning, but they'll call reinforcements soon. Rain nodded. We need to break their nerve, not just their fleet. Juno pointed to the map. Then we hit the command. He boarded the fast strike ship alone. Lyra tried to stop him. You can't go yourself. Juno looked at her. I have to. She didn't argue again. She just placed a small Earth token in his hand. Bring them our truth. Juno's ship tore through the battle. Lasers screamed past. Missiles chased him. He flew through it all, toward the tyrant's voice, the enemy flagship Admiral Corran's throne. He crashed through the outer hull, cut through walls, moved like fire through smoke. Guards fell, systems failed, and finally, Juno reached the bridge. Admiral Corran stood, weapon ready. You won't win, he growled. We already have, Juno answered. They'll fear you. No, Juno said, stepping closer. They'll remember us. Corran fired. The shot hit Juno's shoulder, but he kept walking, and drove his own blade straight through Corran's chest. The Admiral gasped. Juno leaned in. Ghosts don't die quietly. The tyrant's voice exploded in orbit. The alien fleet scattered. Some fled, some surrendered. Most were already broken. The sky over Earth was red with fire and wreckage, but no more bombs fell. No more human cities burned. For the first time in 3,000 years, Earth stood free and undefeated. The humans didn't chase the survivors. They didn't demand tribute. They only sent one message to the entire galaxy. We remember, we waited, we're back, and we are not afraid. Across the stars, people whispered the same thing. The humans were gone. But now, their ghosts fly again.